Is Daniel Garcia a double agent? Let's talk about it. This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. I am the Wrestling Old Head, and this is a segment that I like to call Speculation Station. This is where we speculate and theorize potential storyline progressions in professional wrestling. Just things that make me go, things that interest me for the most part. Now, an unpopular group, if I could ever think of one, is AEW stable, the Death Riders. Comprised of Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, the returning Pac, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Marina Shafir. That's 6. And they were going to have 7 this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite when Chris Statlander defeated Mina Shirakawa, and Wheeler Yuta came out with Marina Shafir and Claudio to congratulate her. And we thought we were going to see Chris Statlander join and become the 7th member of the Death Riders. Actually, she would kind of be considered the 8th because Gabe Kidd is the mercenary for the Death Riders, and he kind of shows up whenever he wants to, but I digress. So, thinking about the expansion of the Death Riders that has been going on for a very, very long time, might I add, I wondered if we were ever going to see the end of the Death Riders, and if we would be seeing the death of the Death Riders, how would it end, right? So, looking at Tony Khan, he's a big fan of ECW, and I look at the Death Riders, and I instantly think of the Cult, the Flock, Raven's group, right? You've got Jon Moxley in the titular leader of the cult-like stable position. Jon Moxley is Raven. Who is his Tommy Dreamer? Well, I think we found it in Darby Allin, right? Darby Allin, sworn nemesis, can never beat Jon Moxley. Tommy Dreamer, sworn nemesis to Raven, could never beat Raven. It wasn't until, I believe, was it WrestlePalooza? I'm not sure. That's off the top of my head, but I do remember when Tommy Dreamer finally beat Raven in the center of the ring before Raven went off to WCW, and that was when the whole WWF invasion happened. I digress. You're getting me off and talking about ECW, which I can do for hours, but we're talking about the Death Riders and the potential end of the Death Riders and what that may look like. So I'm looking at Daniel Garcia. Now, if you can go back to when, and this might have been Wrestle Dream about a year or 2 ago, Jon Moxley was battling Bryan Danielson, put the whole bag over his head, Wheeler Yuta joined the Death Riders, blah, blah, blah. On the outside of the ring, 4 fresh-faced potential leaders that were going to war with the Death Riders. You had Orange Cassidy, you had Hook, you had Daniel Garcia, and you had Darby Allin. Okay? Now, Orange Cassidy just made his triumphant return to the AEW this past Wednesday on Dynamite. Hook has made his return as well, and he is teaming with Eddie Kingston, who is also tied into the Death Riders in some way as well. Darby Allin, of course, he is the Tommy Dreamer to Jon Moxley's Raven, as I discussed earlier. And now Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, out of those 4, is now aligned with the Death Riders. So it got me thinking, could Daniel Garcia actually be trying to infiltrate the Death Riders from the inside to figure out how to destroy them once and for all? If that is the route that they go, which I'm going to be completely transparent with you, I really don't think this is probable. Possible, but not probable. I think what we're going to see is something a little different than that. But if it was to be revealed that Daniel Garcia is actually aligned with Darby Allin, Hook, and Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston, and every other superstar in the AEW locker room that is fed up with the Death Riders and wants to see them gone for good, that could be one of the longest told stories in AEW history. I mean, that is long-term storytelling. Now, I think say what you will about the way that AEW depicts their stories or tells their stories. The thing they do good, and I have to tip my hat to them and give them their flowers, is intertwining different feuds and getting them woven together in this thread, this yarn, this rope, if you will, so they can all be spliced at some point or work with each other at some point. WWE is starting to do that with their main event, and for the most part they do a really good job of that, but AEW is just now realizing, well, yeah, we've got Darby feuding with Mox, we've got Mox feuding with Hangman, we've got Hangman having issues with Swerve, we've got Swerve over here feuding with Will Ospreay, but they're kind of friends, and there's animosity, and then Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega have some animosity, but they can remain friends, and then they're all feuding over here with the Don Callis family. Like, put them all together in one little bowl. It's called AEW Soup, and serve it up hot. It keeps people interested. Now you throw in a little episodic storytelling, it gets you hooked from week to week, and you got something to work with here. But I digress again. What I'm talking about is Daniel Garcia. Now, Daniel Garcia has kind of been, he's been a heel, he's been a fan favorite, he's been most hated. He's been a fan favorite, he's been most hated. He has turned almost as many times as Paul White, the Big Show, and he's still looking for his character. He's still looking for something that can be tied, aside from his, pelvic thrust dancing, in an emotionally invested way to the audience, to where they can get behind him and get him up above a certain level. Now, they've teetered him between mid-card, upper card, but in order to be a main eventer, you've got to have that certain je ne sais quoi. It's what Hangman Adam Page has. It's what Will Ospreay is seemingly born with. It's what Kenny Omega has. It's what Swerve has. It's just this little thing, Tony Storm, this little thing that gets you to the top of the card, and Daniel Garcia is still fishing for that. And I don't know if he's going to get it with the Death Riders. But if he were to turn on the Death Riders and join up with the squad that was like chosen, essentially on camera, pictured together, that is probably going to be displayed on this video as you're listening to me babble on about this, this was the group that we all figured they would build to destroy the Death Riders. And if it is Daniel Garcia that gets inside of the Death Riders, plays the mind games, and maybe pulls one of those guys out of Death Riders, and it starts the pendulum that swings and hits the dominoes that fall all over the place and destroys the Death Riders, that can be a really interesting story. Now, as far as Hook has the same emotionally invested type of an issue that Daniel Garcia has. So in my opinion, I think it's time for Hook to either dye a part of the top of his head red and start to look like Rufio from the movie Hook with Robin Williams, or he needs to start wearing the orange and black saying "beat me if you can" and putting a towel over his head until he can figure out who he actually is. But other than that, he's kind of been swimming in the same kind of a character for a while now. He's got some dope new music. I mean, but hey, I'm the guy that likes Becky Lynch's theme, so you really, my taste in music is all over the place, man. A lot of people don't like Hook's theme and they don't like Becky Lynch's new theme. I quite dig them. So I think that if Daniel Garcia were to turn on the Death Riders and then join back up with that group with Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and Hook, and then maybe, other characters that are spliced around as well, I think it could do good for their characters to help elevate them. And they are the future of AEW. They are the young talent, the young fan favorites that the crowd can get behind. So you want them to be prominently displayed, and something like that where Daniel Garcia turns on the Death Riders and then tries to get that group to form Voltron and really put the Death Riders out, I think could be fascinating television. I really do. I'm really thinking that could be something good. Do I think they're going to do it? Nah. But it could be a really good idea if executed right. That's all I'm saying. So thank you for listening to Speculation Station. Down in the comments, let me know what you think of that storyline. Let me know what you think of that angle. Should Daniel Garcia be a double agent, or is that Bullocks? Is it rubbish? Is it trash? You guys let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about Daniel Garcia joining the Death Riders, and if you even care. Also, don't go ahead and hit the thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Keeps me in the algorithm, and the subscribe button is absolutely free. There's not too many things that are free in this world right now or anymore, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it's free and it helps keep things free. So if you press that button, then, you know, maybe you go to the grocery store and you'll get a buy one, get one free, or you'll get a sudden rebate coupon in the mail or something like that. Trust me, it works. Go ahead and try it out. Hit the subscribe button and then just, you know, go about your day, and then something's going to happen where you're going to get some free stuff, you know? Yeah. Thanks for coming out to the portal of pro wrestling, guys. I'm the Wrestling Old Head. Stay tuned for more.